PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of We Have the Power is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Well, hello to We Have the Power. Interesting times in Nevada right now, and maybe in wherever you're watching this, elections to put leaders in place that are supposed to be working for us. We're going to be talking about that today from an interesting viewpoint. What if I was elected governor? What would I do to get things turned around so that politicians, like they're supposed to be, are working for us? Okay. Well, here's one thing you can count on. You can use this with your kids. You can use this if you're a boss. You can use it in relationships. If you use the right amount of force, I do not mean hitting people. I mean the right amount of correction or ethics or punishments or whatever. If you use the right amount, guess what? People are basically good, and that negative part will get under control by their positive part, and you will get good behavior out of people. Now, let's take an example. During Germany's ridiculous takeover of the continent of Europe, they were harsh to people. They killed people. They, just did despicable things. And of course, people rose up. The French resistance were a product of them being so harsh. Now, they couldn't, because they were psychopaths, do the right thing with people, because people would have said, well, that's fine. You're not being very harsh on us, but we don't want you taking over France. We own France. The people of France, hey, we want to run our own country. Get out, So when you're dealing with a completely psychotic individual, it's not going to work. You can't reason with them. But when you have a child, let's say, who keeps, leaving his bike behind dad's car, dad almost runs over it and pierces the tires, and he won't put his bike away. Well, if you beat him silly, then, that's criminal. And I'm not advocating that. That is criminal activity. Or if you spank him on the butt and he goes, okay, well, that's all I got in trouble for. I'm going to keep leaving my bike there, or whatever thing he's doing that you want him to correct. Now, if he has to sit and do dishes for 2 hours every night instead of playing with his video game, watching his favorite TV show, now you're starting to get his attention. You see, there is a negative part of individuals and there's a positive part. And if it gets to be where it's such a drag, the restrictions and the penalty you've given him for whatever wrong action he's doing, beating up his brother, stealing money out of your purse, whatever it might be, or your dad's wallet. If you make it where he has to do dishes now every night, can't watch his TV shows, he gets his cell phone taken away, he has to make breakfast, whatever he does that is within his age group that doesn't allow him to just get off scot-free, and it's really a drag, and he has to clean the house and whatever you make him do, him or her. Well, that positive part will, there'd be an internal kind of conversation, even though words aren't passed back and forth. And it'll be like the positive part say, hey, man, this is no fun. And then the person will become more ethical. They will get a hold of stopping doing whatever they're doing that's unethical if the person is not psychotic. Now, we're talking about a kid, or we're talking about a coworker who's probably a very sane person. They just got out of control a little bit. And so you give them penalties that are at the right level, and then they will go, this isn't fun. Okay, I'm not doing it. Now, we all know that if we drive crazy 3 times, we get our license taken away. Most people who are sane go, I don't want to get my license taken away, have to ride the bus to go to work. So it keeps that negative part of wanting to drive fast because I'm late to work, or I want to get there faster, or I just like to drive fast. Their analytical abilities will keep that in check because they do not want to lose their license. You've set the penalty at almost the exact right level. Now, you're going to tell me that people still drive crazy. Yeah, but those people aren't sane enough to be able to have this kind of situation. That works on people who are relatively sane and can see, well, I don't want to lose my license, so I'll drive better or whatever. I won't steal from my boss because I'm going to jail and I don't want to sit in jail. So we've got some things in society where the level is correct. However, we have a lot of things that aren't correct, and that's where our justice system needs to be correct. One of the things I would fix if I was governor, these people that kill somebody while they're driving a car and get 7 years and they're out and they get a license again. What is a life worth? No. If I was governor, the word would go out and people would be like freaked out because the word would go out. Now, I'm not talking about an icy road or the brakes fail or someone jumps in front of your car or something like that. That's not premeditated. You're speeding, breaking the speed limit laws, driving crazy, running red lights, drinking, smoking pot, using your phone, and you crash and kill somebody. I would have the word go out to all Nevadans, say, if you do that, now I'm not talking about injured. Injuries can heal. If you kill somebody and take away that family, their loved one, you're going to go to jail for a short amount of time to make sure that you're not psychotic. We're going to evaluate you without psychiatry's involvement, which I'll talk about either in this segment or segment 2. You get properly evaluated to see if it is safe for you to be out in society. If it is, then you will be required. Now, listen closely, okay? You'll be required for the rest of your life until you are so old you can't function anymore to do community service every single Saturday for 8 hours. Now, people go, oh, that's so hard. What is a life worth? And here's the thing. The first person that gets sentenced with that, yeah, that's a drag for that person. But when the word goes out to the public, hey, look, if you kill a person while you're driving a car because you're drunk, distracted, speeding, running red lights, you're going to have to do community service for the rest of your life every Saturday. George, it isn't worth it. Call the Uber, man. You do not want to have to do that. You see the kind of deterrent it is for a sane person. I'm talking about an insane person couldn't even function with that. So when they go to jail, they're evaluated. They're not safe to go back out into society. So we don't let them back out in society. So here's this person. He was drunk, killed somebody. He gets the sentence for the rest of your life. You're going to be in jail doing the rest of your life. You're going to be out of jail after we've evaluated you. And then you'll do community service, talking to kids about this. You'll be cleaning up streets, whatever we have you to do. Whatever the temperature is, as long as we're not putting you in danger of heat exhaustion, until you're old enough, it's so old you can't even work anymore. But while this person is doing this, you see, that is rehabilitating that person, that giving back. At some point, they might be rehabilitated. And we would evaluate that, because if they're rehabilitated, not after a week, not after a year, but, of doing this community service, after 15 years, they're like, this person has really learned a lesson and they're rehabilitated, then we can cut that back. But what is a life worth? This crap of getting people out after 7 years, these judges ought to be taken aside and spoken to and say, what the heck are you thinking? Talk to the families. Are they happy with the fact that Joe Blow, Mary Smith, is out after 7 years after killing their teenager? There was a report right here in Las Vegas. A girl was about to graduate. She was in a crosswalk. at school, stepped out, thought she was safe, got killed. And this guy, I think, got some measly, I won't use the word that I'd love to, rear end penalty. It doesn't send a message to anybody that you shouldn't drink and drive or smoke pot and drive. Use your cell phone, put on your makeup, texting, whatever these people are doing. Running red lights, doesn't send any message. 7 years, I take a break. My food is all paid for by the taxpayers. If I have bad teeth, I get them fixed for free. I don't have to pay rent, Yeah, you're confined, but you see the kind of message it sends? Okay, so use the right level of punishment and you will start getting people responding and stop doing bad things. That is the first thing that any governor who gets elected should do. And you are responsible for the condition you're in. It is not the government. It's not the weather. It's not the high prices. You are responsible for the condition you're in. The next thing I would do to start off the next season after the election, make it mandatory and kind of the norm that all politicians are called public servants. Public servant state senator, public servant congressman, public servant senator, because that reminds them every time you talk to them, email them, call them, send them a letter. Public servant, because we want to remind them who they're supposed to be working for. Let's put the power back into the people. We have the power. I want more of the power in our hands. And that's what it should be. And if somebody gets weird about it, how dare you call me such a, demeaning name, Great, Mr. Smith. I ain't sending you back. I ain't voting for you again. You should go, yes, I am a public servant, and I will do everything I can to make it better for the people. That's why I'm here. If they give you that other response, do not vote for them. They obviously have no intention of working in our behalf. So that's very important. Now, I think what happens a lot with politicians, naturally, the evil people want to control them. So they go, hey, George, Sally, hey, here's some stock options. No one will ever find out about it. Just take them as part of the perks of being a senator, a big cigar, But yeah, it's really, it's part of the perks, And then Sally or David or whatever name I used, has a moral awakening, said, no, I can't do what you're asking me. It's not helping the people. It's wrong. Oh, Mr. Senator, by the way, quite apart from us having anything to do with it, those stock options you got? Well, somehow it got leaked to the press. And if you continue down this line of being so good to the public, we're not going to be able to stop that from going to the press. And then you're going to face jail time or not be able to be a politician ever again. So maybe you should see if the press backs off if you lighten up a little bit on that, And that's how they control too many of our politicians, mainly on the left, because the left has been taken over by some of the most evil individuals covertly in our time. They tried to take over the Republican Party, but the Republican Party is more steeped in you're responsible for yourself. A lot of religion in the Republican Party. Be responsible, don't have the government give you everything. Now, I'm not letting every Republican off the hook. Some of them get offered illegal things and they take them, and then they can't do anything for fear of being found out as well. Some of them. But for the most part, the Republican Party could not be taken over as easily as the Democratic Party. So when you go voting in November, remember that those with the D's. Let's see, what other names start with D? Despicable, destructive, demonic. Now, I'm not saying they're demons, and I'm not saying all Democrats are demons and demonic, but their policies have proven to be failures. So why put them back in office again? Susie Lee and all these people that have been in there forever, get rid of them. They are not doing for us as much as their PR tends to paint that picture. They can't, because they're in that party that has been controlled. So those are a couple things that I would do, getting to rename the politicians and educate our young people about what's really going on in Washington. One of the movies that I would have all young people watch who are in high school, because that's kind of the level where they could understand this movie, and they have to sign off that they saw this movie before they graduated, and that is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It tells exactly the trouble we're in when a good guy or a good woman gets into Washington and they try to change anything. You should watch that movie yourself, and you'll have an eye-opening, an awakening. I don't think that movie could be made today. All right, let's talk about our money. Everybody's concerned about our money, and we don't have enough money and all that because we have what is called the Federal Reserve in the way. They are a non-American entity. They are not controlled by the U.S. government as much as all the PR and all the media tries to fool us, even with the name Federal Reserve. It is not a federal entity. It is a private bank, and they basically print paper with designs on it that we call money, and they charge us interest for it. This was passed through Congress when there were hardly any people in town. It was during Christmas, and they snuck it through. And Woodrow Wilson, I have a quote. Well, let me give you a couple quotes from my book about money before we talk about the Federal Reserve and how despicable they are. Let us control the money of a nation, which the Federal Reserve does, and we care not who makes its laws. That was said to be a maxim, a truth, of the House of Rothschilds or the moneylenders of the old world. And the Federal Reserve is a banking system that is basically a perfect Ponzi scheme. How do we ever pay them off? With the money they just printed and gave to us and charged us interest for? And the other diabolical thing about the Federal Reserve, they want to keep making profits. Well, whenever we get into a war, we have never set aside the money to fight that war. So we go to the Federal Reserve. Can we have some more money, please? We have a war to fight. Oh, sure. We'll give you all the money you want. And it's that paper and the transfer of money on paper gets interest charged to it. Okay? We need to divorce ourselves from the Federal Reserve. Can you imagine, like all of our roads and bridges need to be rebuilt. They're very old, falling apart, making it hard for salespeople to get to the next place, to make sales, to make tax revenue for the government. All these bridges in such bad shape and just a mess. Right now, we would go to the Federal Reserve and beg them for money, which would have interest associated with it. And we get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper in debt till the country disappears under the burden of debt that's so heavy that we could never resurrect it. We don't want to let that happen. Imagine if the Federal Reserve, here it is, pretend this is the Federal Reserve right here, gone. And the president says, okay, we want to rebuild every road that is falling apart in this country. And we put out a bid to companies that say they could do that on a nationwide basis, or maybe East Coast, West Coast, And the bids start coming in, and we find two companies, one to do the West Coast, one to do the East Coast, or maybe one for the middle part of the country, West and East. Somebody who really knows what they're doing would figure that out. So we accept a bid from three companies, let's say, but there's no Federal Reserve. We print the money. The U.S. government prints the money, and some of it would be on paper. We don't have to, if they need 40 million to buy all the trucks and the new cement and all that stuff, we're not going to drive over with 40 million in cash. Okay, you understand. But basically, we generate the money printed by the U.S. government with no interest on it, and we give it to these companies, West Coast, middle of the country, and the East Coast. And they start rebuilding every bridge, road, fixing everything up. Guess what? Tax revenue from all the trucks they're going to buy, all the materials they're going to buy, all the people they're going to hire, that's all tax revenue. And the money we gave them has zero interest associated with it. Then the roads are in better shape, less crashes, We make sure we educate our young people how to be responsible drivers. Less crashes. Our healthcare costs go down. People are not smoking pot and cigarettes and over drinking alcohol and taking drugs because we're educating them, like the booklets that I always have on my shows. And things are starting to look really good in this country. And we've not accumulated any debt in paying these companies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 construction, just fictitious names I made up. And now we got the country in better shape. All the roads are fixed. Our salespeople can get to where they want to go to sell to make more revenue. The truckers can get the products to market where people can buy the products and make more tax revenue. Because the Federal Reserve, I got to write this down. Pardon me for a second. You're not supposed to stop your show, but it's such a beautiful moment. I got to do this, okay? So bear with me. I just got to do this. You know what this means. Oh, yeah. Federal Reserve, out of the way. And we do an investigation with the Justice Department, see if any crimes have been committed by the Federal Reserve. They are innocent till proven guilty, but they're going to go to a court of law with a jury. Find out if there's any crimes that have been committed, if they've started any wars in association with the CIA just to make us borrow money from them, okay? So we get our roads and bridges in great shape. Truckers can get the products to market. We have less accidents. Healthcare costs go down. Revenues go soaring. And then we can take on the next thing. The next thing the government needs. We can start putting some money in reserves, only there for an emergency. Next time there's a horrible tornado in Florida or something, we have the money to go in and to help out that situation. And guess who would be helping out in that situation? Those people who are not psychotic, who did some blue-collar crime. Great. You're out of jail for a week, and you're going to be helping in Florida, clean up, help, whatever, supervised. And if you try to escape, and you do escape, and we catch you again, you have just 4 times your time in jail, okay? 4 times longer you're going to be in jail, where you're going to be out in 6 months, and then you run away because we're not looking, and you're on a road gang, and you suddenly go away, and then we catch you. Okay, now you're going to be in there for 4 times longer, and you are not going to sit in jail. This is another thing I do. Any jail in Nevada. The prisoners are not sitting there on their rear ends having us pay their rent, us pay their food, us pay their health care. Oh, I got a problem with my teeth. What did you do? Oh, I cut a woman up in such small pieces you couldn't find her, but I've got a tooth that aches. He gets free health care. I'm sorry. The rest of us are out here trying to get our dental work done when it's needed to be done. Why does this psychopath get free dental care and free rent and free food? No, if you're in jail and it's not, you're not psychotic and have to be in solitary confinement or something like that, you are going to be working 8 to 10 hours a day doing something. If you don't like it, well, then you should have been more ethical. And if you're not in jail, don't do something unethical, because you will be working long hours to, guess what? You're going to pay your own rent. You're going to pay for your own food, and you're going to pay for your own health care. And we really don't care, and neither do the taxpayers, how long you have to work, because you're responsible for the condition you're in by, holding up a 7-Eleven. You think you're going to hold up the 7-Eleven and get away with it free? No, you held up the 7-Eleven, got caught. Now you're going to be in jail for 15 years. Taxpayers should not have to pay for your health care, your rent, your food. No, you will be paying for it by long, hard hours working. And what a great message that sends to Joe Schwartz or Sally whatchamacallit. I think I'm going to bump this 7-Eleven over. I see that they have a lot of cash in the morning. Guess what, Sally? You're going to be working hard for 15 years if you do that. Really? Okay, well, I'll work harder on the outside to make more money then. That's what a sensible person would do. And if they're psychotic, they don't belong in society anyway. Okay? We're going to definitely have part 2 because I got a lot more to say. Now, there's something else that comes up for us a lot, which I feel is completely unfair. It's the tax system does this too. It penalizes production. But let's talk about the DMV. You have a junky old car with bad brakes and tires and polluting and, a crappy car driving down the road. And it's only worth $800. So your license fee is, $56 or something. Then you finally have a realization. You go, I got to do better. So you get a really good job. You study hard. You become a lawyer, or whatever you do to up your income. And you're doing better, and you're producing more tax revenue and more tax on the, employee tax and all that for the government and the state. And then you get a nicer, safer car with really good brakes, really good headlights, and the car is not dumping oil all over the roads. And because it's a new car, now DMV says, oh, we can take a higher percentage for your licensing fee. And basically DMV is penalizing somebody getting responsible and productive and moving up and getting a nicer car that's better to be on the road than this old junker, and they want to charge you more. No, there are some states where it is a flat fee. Okay, you have a car, it's registered, this is how much you pay. We are not going to penalize you because you worked hard, could get a better car, which is safer, better on the road, doesn't pour junk all over the road, doesn't crash into people because the brakes are failing. We are not going to charge you more. That's penalizing you for being an upstanding citizen. So that's one of the main things I would do if I was governor. Flat fee on registration. And if, the liberals say, oh, we need that extra money for the roads, the roads aren't getting built right anyway. So don't give me that BS that the money is going to be getting to the road fund and all that, because they're siphoning it off. They're doing unethical things with it. So they don't deserve to penalize us when we become more responsible and get a better, safer car. No. Flat fee for DMV. That should be people should be in front of a DMV office. Flat fee for DMV. You think this is too heavy? Well, we got a lot of stuff to fix, okay? So in segment 2, I'm going to be talking about, what is the future of this country? It's not oil. It's not our cows. It's not how much wheat we can grow. It is our students. And we better darn, and I wish I could say a different word, we better darn well be investing in them. Right now, we're not. We have psychiatry crawling all over them, saying anybody who ever has one thought of depression, oh, you need drugs. And the drugs have side effects, so we'll need to give you this drug, and then we'll give you this drug to handle the side effects, and then those 2 drugs have their own side effects, so now you're on 3 medications, and you can't even study, and pretty soon, from taking these drugs for 20 years, you won't even be able to hold a job, let alone make a sentence, so you'll be homeless, and then the taxpayers will have to deal with you. That's why, if I was governor, we would do a top to bottom and even deeper down into the sludge of psychiatry to find out what's really going on, because they are drugging our students into oblivion, destroying our future based on a hoax, okay? Based on something that all it does, the person's depressed. Did they ever find out why? No, they just go, you're depressed, and so we need to give you medications. But we call them drugs from Brian Gardner because they are drugs. Okay, so you give him drugs. You haven't found out why he's depressed. And the person now is sitting there like this. Doesn't cause trouble in class anymore because he's so zombied out he couldn't get out of the room if there was a fire on the building. You haven't fixed the mental illness. That's because psychiatry has not got a clue about how the mind works and how to really solve depression. So the only thing they can do is drug people. It's like, you go to your mechanic, you say, my car's making a lot of noise, I need to drive to work, can you just fix it? Well, sir, I've got two options. We can tear the engine apart and find out what's really going on. It'll take a little time and a little money, or I could put Gunko in the engine. Well, how much does Gunko cost? $14.95 a quart. Well, pour the Gunko in there. Yeah, but you won't like it when I tear your engine apart in 10,000 miles. Gunko's going to destroy the engine. I don't care. I want a car that's manageable right now. I don't want it making noise. I just want it to go along. That's what we're doing to our kids. They don't know how to fix depression. They don't know what's causing the depression in this kid or this kid or this kid or this kid. So what we do is we make them like this. Johnny's so good now. He doesn't speak out in class. Hi, good morning. You know, this is what we're doing, destroying our own future. That's psychotic in itself. So as governor, investigation, white paper investigation into psychiatry with most of their worthless methods banned forever. And then we start using real solutions. Find out with each child why they are depressed and handle the problem. You know, if you sweep dirt under the rug, eventually you're going to have a pound of dirt this big. You've never dealt with the fact that the front door needs a strip of rubber on it to keep the dust from coming in. Make sure you're here 5 o'clock next Thursday for part 2 of what I would do if I was governor, because things could be really rosy if we get a social personality as the governor who will stand up to anyone who doesn't do things for us. We have the power, just like W.C. Fields would say, let's start utilizing it, okay? See you next Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Be here.
Voting is more than just a right, it's a powerful tool for change. Every vote counts and every voice matters. Voting protects your rights and helps to build a better future. And it's a way to hold our leaders accountable. Voting isn't just about the big elections either. Local elections impact our daily lives. It is important to study the candidates and the issues in order to make an informed decision. Don't sit it out. Your vote is your power. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.